ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या सम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। We were in the fifth chapter, second Brahmanam, which is called Prajapatya Brahmanam, because Prajapati is teaching his three children, okay, Devas, Manusyas, and Asuras. Now, all of them are living with Prajapati as his Sishyas, even though they are his Putras, his children, still they are living as brahmacharis. They are doing the brahmacharya with Prajapati as the guru, and they go and ask him for his teaching. And what did Prajapati do? Prajapati means here Brahmaji only is called Prajapati. Okay, the Brahmaji who is in the Trinity we have, correct? Brahma, Vishnu, Ishvara means the Brahmaji is the Prajapati here. He is the father of everybody. That in one way. That is why he is called Prajapati. This Brahmaji gives the teaching what? He just gives one syllable. When Devas ask him, what is your teaching for us? He says, da. Then they automatically understand. Okay. The Devas automatically understand that da there means you should have dama. You should have control, mastery over your whatever sense organs and activities. Then the Manushas ask, and for them also he says da. For them it is, you have to give dana. That is the teaching. And for Asuras, you should show daya. So damam, danam, dayam. These are the three things which he teaches, but with the same syllable. So for all of them, he is giving the same syllable as the answer. Now in this context, we were seeing the bhashya. Bhashyakara raises one point. So even though Prajapati gave the same the as the teaching, how did they understand it differently, or why did they understand it differently? Because the Devas understood it differently, the Manusyas understood it differently, and the Asuras understood that differently. So how is it possible? Means then he gave a view that some people say this with reference to this. What is that? What he is saying is everybody has some faults. And many times we are very acutely aware of our own faults, correct? Some people are finding faults with others also. That is another problem. But most of the people, what is their problem? That you are acutely aware of your own defects, your own faults, your own lack of certain things, all these things. Okay. So that means when you are looking for a teaching, obviously you think that the teaching is for the sake of getting rid of your faults, correct? For that purpose only, Prajapati is going to teach. So they automatically take it with reference to that. So the Devas think that they lack control because they are all the time enjoying something, okay, indulging in something. So they think that they have to restrain. That should be the teaching of Prajapati. So they automatically take it like that. The Manushas think that they are all greedy. That is their problem. That is their fault. So he's now telling us to give dana, so that that ability to give is a very big thing. So it takes care of the greed also. And then the Asuras think that they are all cruel people, violent. So that is our fault. So we have to show compassion, kindness. Like this, each of them being acutely aware of their own faults. And generally, when somebody is teaching children also or their sishyas, first their faults have to be rectified, remedied, so that they become qualified for whatever knowledge they are supposed to receive. So that way also it is proper. So that's what it was said here. You can see, Loke pihi prasiddham putraha shishyascha anushasyaha santaha doshat nivartitavyaha iti. So they have to be taken care of in the sense that their faults have to be rectified first. Therefore, it is proper that Prajapati said da with reference to that only. And also the Devas understood it like that. Devadi trayecha. So here, ataha yuktam Prajapatehe dakara matra ucharanam. So just selling da itself is good enough because they are already acutely aware of their problem. So they connect it with that and understand the teaching correctly. That is the idea. So da is good enough. And what? Damadi trayecha dakara anvayat atmanaha dosha anurupyena devadinam vivekena pratipattum cha iti. And what? This dayadi traya. Okay, damadi traya. Dama, dana and daya. They are all starting with dakara only, correct? And those who are very acutely aware of their own doshas, dosha anurupyana means they are looking at their dosha. These devas, what they were able to immediately discriminate and understand that by meaning by the what Prajapati is actually teaching us, they were able to understand. That is also proper, he say. And further, what phalam tu etat atma dosha jnane sati doshat nivartetum shakyate alpena api upadeshana. Okay, what is the moral of this story? Bhashyakara is giving a moral. Okay, the moral is what? That is, the result or phala here is what for this means that if you are acutely aware of your own issues, your own problems, faults, and you want to rectify it. So then what? It is very easy to help somebody, correct? A very simple teaching is good enough. You don't require a lengthy monologue or anything. Okay, alpena api upadeshana. Little bit of teaching, upadesha is good enough. For those who really want to change, you can always help them to change, correct? But those who do not want to change, any amount of upadesha you give, it is all waste, correct? That's why there is no use advising anybody really in reality. Unless somebody asks for your advice, don't give any advice to anybody. You keep shut. As long as they are not bothering you, you don't have to give any advice, I think. But if somebody is ready to change and they are expecting some help, we should help. And that help need not be very much because they are already ready to take the help. Those who are ready to receive the help, for them, helping them is very easy for us, correct? Like yatha deva deyaha, dakara matrena, like even the devas, just saying da is good enough. Nothing more is required. And they understood the teaching. Okay. So further what? Now a Purvapakshi comes. He says, Nanu etat trayanam devadinam anushasanam devadibihi api ekaikam eva upadeyam adyatvepi natu trayam manushyehi shikshitavyam iti. Okay, he's saying, see, these teachings were given specifically to Devas, correct? Devas were given Dhamma because they had the tendency to indulge. And Manushyas were given Dana because they were greedy. Lobha is their problem. And Asuras were given Daya because their problem is Kruratvam, let us say. So these teachings were given specifically to these people, each one. Now, how are you saying that all these three things are relevant to human beings, correct? So these three are need not be taught to the Manushas, only the Dakara which is relevant to Manusha, correct? Dhanam alone should be taught to the Manushas, not all three. Like this, an objection is raised. So, Trayam Manushyehi na Sikshitavyam, all three should not be taught. Means with reference to Bhashyakara says, Atra Uchyate, what is that? Purve Devadibihi Vishishtaihi Anushtitam Yetatrayam Tasmat manushyehi eva sikshitavyam iti. What he is saying is these things have been specially observed by the devas and asuras and whoever, all these people. So since these have been specifically given to them, even though they have been specifically given to them, but it has been given by Prajapati himself, and therefore they are all exalted teaching, we should take it as. And even now it has to be observed by the Manushyas. Okay, that is the answer he is giving. So, Tasmat, this has been specially given. Therefore, even now it is special. It is exalted. It has to be taught to the human beings. There is no doubt. Okay, even after this, one more question comes. Tatra dayalutvasya ananushtheyatvam syat. So one person is saying, no, no, okay, dama and dana is fine. But dayalutvam or daya should not be taught because it has been taught to the asuras, he is saying. So, the dayalutvasya ananishteyam means you should not observe dayalutvam. Why? Or teach it. Katham means why or how means asuraihi aprashastaihi anuttitatvaditi che, because it has been observed by the asuras who are all not praiseworthy, correct? Who are not desirable people. So whatever teaching was given to asuras, why should we bother about that? Like that the question is there. But then Bhashyakara says, no, na, why tulyatva trayanam, all three are teachings, they are same. And also they are come from Prajapati himself. That way they are same. It doesn't matter to whom it was given. Look at by whom it was given. That is more important, correct? Who has given the teaching is more important. And therefore, all three has to be taught and observed by the Manushyas. And ataha anyaha atra abhipraya. Therefore, the abhipraya here is not that one should only take whatever has been taught to Manushya, or one should only consider what is taught to Devas and Manushya and give away Asuras, correct? The abhipraya or the opinion is different here. Therefore, what is that opinion? Because we think all three teachings are exalted because it has been given by Prajapati, and he explains that Prajapatehe putra devadayastrayaha. So the Devas etc. are putras of Prajapati. All of them, whether they are Asura, Manushya or Devas. And further on, putrebhyascha hitameva pita upadeshtavyam, pitra upadeshtavyam. So whatever is being taught by the father to his children, that will always be hitam, means that will be for their good only, correct? It cannot be something bad, something wrong. It will be for the good of his children only he will be teaching. And Prajapatischa hitagnaha na anyatha upadashati. Further, Prajapati also knows what is good, correct? And therefore, he will not teach anything which is other than good for everybody. Therefore, tasmat putra anushasanam prajapatehe paramam etat hitam. So, whatever was taught to his own children by the Prajapati, this is paramam. It is exalted and it is also good for everybody. Therefore, ataha manushyehi eva etatrayam sikshitavyam iti. So, these three have to be taught to all the Manushyas also. Okay, after giving all these things, now Bhashyakara is giving a different kind of meaning here. This is also very interesting. So he now goes to a symbolic kind of meaning. He says, Athava devaha asuraha va anye kechana vidyante manushyebhyaha. So, other than Manushyas, separately Deva, Asura are all not there, he is saying. Okay. So, in this context, Devas and Asuras are also referring to only human beings. Means different types of people among the human beings themselves are called as Deva, Manusha and Asura. Therefore, the teaching itself is only for the human beings. Because anyway, Devas do not require any teaching and Asuras, even if you teach them, they are not going to listen, I think. So, Bhashyakara now reinterpreted these three words as meaning three different types of people within the Manushyas, human beings only. And who are they? Saying Manushyanameva adantaha ye anyaihi uttamaihi gunaihi sampannaha te devaha. So who are the devas among the human beings? Means those who do not have restraint. Okay, adantaha. But still they have all other good qualities. Okay, anyaihi gunaihi. Whatever which are there are all uttamaihi. Anyehi uttamaihi gunaihi sampannaha. So they are endowed with all other good qualities. You can say excellent qualities. Okay, uttamaihi, and they are all devas. Means even within human beings, we have some people are born with so much punyam. Correct. So everywhere they go, they enjoy something. Correct. So some people have something called Gaja Kesari Yoga. Okay, you go anywhere, you always have people for company, you have good food, all these things. So because everything is available to you like that, people are friendly to you always and they enjoy your company, etc. You are also enjoying a lot. But that enjoyment should not be without restraint. Okay, if it is too much, what will happen? It will become a gluttony, correct? You will end up with diabetes, I think, nowadays. That is the problem. So it should not be like that, correct? So you may have a nice birth with lot of punya and undergoing pleasant experiences. Even then, you should have a certain restraint in what you are doing. So such people who have punya pradhana in the manushya janma itself, they are called devaha. Then what? Lobha pradhanaha manushyaha. But normal people, they do not have too much, but they are all the time greedy after something. Okay. So they are all robha pradhanaha, they are all manushas. Then some people are also kruraha, himsaparaha, they are violent. Okay. They don't care for others. They are asuras. So amongst the human beings only, there are devas, manushas, and asuras, and the teaching is for them. So te eva manushyaha adantatvadi doshatrayam apekshya. So depending on what kind of dosha you have amongst human being only, whether you require dama or dana or daya, this teaching has been given. Devadi shabda bhajaha bhavanti. So because of these three types of dosha or faults, they are referred to by these words like Deva, Manusha, and Asura, but they are all amongst the Manushya, only human beings. Itaranscha gunan sattva tamamsi apekshya. Okay. Further, what? These gunas which are there, correct? Other gunas, they are also dependent on what is the pradhana. One person himself, at some time he may be behaving like Deva. Another time he is Manushya. Another time he becomes Asura. That also is possible nowadays, correct? So how do you explain that? Means in the same person when Sattva is Pradhana, correct? The Sattva Guna is the main. And then what? He is Deva. When for the same person Rajas becomes predominant, then he is Manushya. When the Tamas becomes predominant, he becomes Asura. Like this, even that way you can, depending on that, the teaching is relevant even for one person. Okay. Ataha manushyehi eva sikshitavyam etattrayamiti. So this has to be taught only to the human being. Tad apekshaya eva prajapatina upadishtatvat. So Prajapati also, Brahmaji has taught, keeping that only in mind. Okay. Therefore, what? Tatahi manushyaha adantaha lubdhaha krurascha drishyante. That's why you see amongst human beings there are people who don't have any self-restraint, or those who are greedy, or those who are cruel. All these things we are seeing. And the Smriti also talks about the same thing, correct? Again, he is quoting the same Smriti. He quoted this Bhagavad Gita verse in the beginning also here, correct? Trividham narakasyedam dwaram nashanam atmanaha kamah krodastata lobha tasmadetattrayam tyajet. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, these three doshas have been talked about, 16th chapter, 21st verse. And so those three only you have to take care of. These are there for the human beings only. There, Bhagavan is addressing Arjuna. So to Arjuna only, Bhagavan is teaching the same thing, and therefore it all is proper. There is no doubt that we have to teach the human beings. So with this Prajapatya Brahmana is over. Panchama Adhyayasya Dvitiyam Brahmanam. Here Brahmanas are all small, 1 or 3 verses like that. Okay, now next Brahmana we are going. Okay. Dabadi sadhanatrayam sarva upasana shesham vihitam. Okay, what Bhashyakara is saying, something very interesting. This Damadi, whatever was the values which were talked about previously, these are the means for gaining your own sadhana chatushtaya, let us say. Okay, but they are also the means for gaining qualification for doing every other upasana, he says. So you should have these qualities, dama, danam, daya, etc. Then that itself becomes a sadhana and makes you qualified for doing other upasana. Sarva upasana shesham means it is part of every upasana. You should have these three, then only you can do the other upasanas. That's why the Upanishad talked about that first. And further what? Dantaha, alubdaha, dayaluhu san sarva upasaneshu adhikriyate. So Bhashyakara explicitly says that you become eligible for all the upasanas by being the one with dhamma, with and also without being greedy, and with having compassion. Okay, having self restraint, not being greedy, and being compassionate is the qualification required for all upasanas. Further, what tatra nirupadhikasya brahmanaha darshanam atikrantam. Okay, the nirupadhika brahma was taught in the first 4 chapters. Okay, that is already gone. Atikrantam. Now what? Atha. Hereafter, aduna now sopadhikasya tasya eva abhyudaya phalani vaktavyam ityevam arthaha ayam arambhaha. So now the sopadhika brahman is talked about, or saguna brahma. Okay, the Brahman along with Upadhi means we are now talking about Brahmaji or Prajapati, who is a Utkrishta Upadhi, correct? Brahman from the standpoint of a very exalted Upadhi is the Prajapati or Brahmaji, and Upasana on that Prajapati or Brahmaji only is we are going to do now, and that is for Abhyudaya Phala. Abhyudaya means you can say prosperity and all that. Okay, or whatever. You either you gain prosperity here or you go to Swarga. All that is Abhyudaya Phala. Okay, these have to be told Vaktavyani iti evam artaha ayam arambaha. So for that purpose, again a new Brahmana is started, a new Upasana here. Satya Upasana. Okay, Satyam Brahma Upasana. So again, Yesha Prajapatihi Yad Hridayam Yetat Brahma Yetat Sarvam Tad Etat Treksharam Hridayamiti Hri Ityekamaksharam Abhiharanti Asmai Swascha Anye Cha ये एवं वेद द इत्येकमक्षरं ददत्यस्मै स्वाश्च अन्ये च ये एवं वेद यमित्येकमक्षरं स्वर्गं लोकं ये एवं वेद यमित्येकमक्षरं येति स्वर्गं येति is there येति स्वर्गं लोकं ये एवं वेद. Okay, so here that Prajapati has to be done upasana on the hridaya. Like we do upasana, correct? You want to do Shiva upasana, Shiva puja, what you do? You do upasana on the linga, correct? Shiva linga is there. Or Vishnu means Shalagrama is there. So Shalagrami Vishnu Dhyayami, Avahayami, and all that you can do puja. Like that, here Prajapati or Brahmaji, you should do upasana on your Hridaya. Hridaya here is Buddhi, okay, or intellect. Hridaya is not the physical heart. And that Hridayam itself is Brahma because it is very big. Okay. And it is Tat Sarvam. Because everything comes through your intellect only, right? Through your mind, and then only it goes to the Jivatma. So the Hridayam is everything. It is Brahma. Brahma here means big, very big. Okay. We can just take the Brihi Vriddhav like that, the Vyutpatti Artha. This is not referring to any Sagunam Brahma or Nirgunam Brahma. And this has three aksharas, correct? Tad etat trayaksharam. Hri is the first akshara. Hri means what? Hri ityekam aksharam abhiharanti asmai abhiharanti. Hri comes in the meaning of haranti, means to bring. Okay, bring and give. So somebody is bringing something to you, carrying and bringing something and giving it to you. Means swascha anyecha, means who are all going to give me. Swa. The word swa has four meanings in Sanskritam. Okay, swa can mean self, oneself, or swa can mean mine also, something which belongs to me. Swam also means wealth, correct? And swam also means relatives. So in four meanings it can come. Here the swa is coming in the meaning of relatives, bandhu. Okay. So your relatives also will come and give you a lot, and others also will bring you whatever bali, gifts, etc. Why and how? What kind of upasana you have to do with this hri? Means you understand the hri means haranti. Now you are doing the upasana that even for my hridaya, all the indriyas are all bringing everything to the hridaya, correct? The indriyas are bringing all the sense objects to the hridaya only. And that hridaya itself is everything. So like that, if you do upasana, the phala for that is what? Your relatives and non-relatives also will give you lot of goodies. Okay. And another further what? So, swascha anyecha yayam veda. So one who does upasana like this, he will get from relatives and others. Further what? Da iti ekam aksharam. Da is the next akshara in hridaya. And it refers to dadati, to give. And again what? Relatives and others also will give you or will give you their power or nourishment. Okay, that is the meaning. And here also, what do we understand? Again, the hridaya or intellect is nourished by all the indriyas, or their powers or their functions are all for the purpose of the hridaya only. And hridaya again gives it to the atma or the enjoyer, the bhokta, correct? Whatever is coming, the power or whatever is brought to the hridaya gives it to the bhokta who is the jivatma. So like this, if you do upasana, you will again get so many people will give you things. You won't know where to keep, I think. Because when we went to Ayodhya in 2024 for the Prana Pratishtha, so many people had donated food. They didn't know where to keep all the donations which were coming. Okay, initially they thought they'll make some food and all that and give. Then they made a huge arrangement. Whoever came there, lakhs of people, everybody got free food because they had so much with them. They could not keep it also. They didn't have enough space to keep, so they thought they'll cook and distribute everything. Like that, I think you will get, everybody will give you stuff. And so that is the next one, dakara. So you do upasana and the akshara, da, that the indriyas are giving their virya to the hridaya, who is Prajapati or Brahma, like that. And yam also, yam iti ekam aksharam. In hridaya, ya is there. And that also what? Yeti. Yeti means go. In is the dhatu. In gatau. So in the meaning of gati or go, and that means what? Swargam lokam. Yeti. You go to Swarga loka. You do upasana and this hridaya in this manner. Lot of people will bring things to you, and also they'll give their power, their virya to you. And then you will go to Swarga. This is the phala of this upasana. Let us see the bhashya. येष प्रजापतिः यद् हृदयं प्रजापतिः अनुशास्ति इति अनन्तरम् एव अभिहितम्. Okay, this Prajapati, who is the Hridaya, who is to be looked upon as the Hridaya, This Prajapati is the one who taught. Okay. This was already mentioned. Okay. Before only it was mentioned. And who is that Prajapati? No, we have to know, correct? Kaha punaha asau anushasta. Who is the one who taught this da da da? And that person is Prajapati iti uchyate. And Yesha Prajapati ko asau. Who is this Prajapati? Means Yad Hridayam. Who is the Hridaya itself? So this Prajapati is not separate from Hridaya. Why? Because Prajapati, when we say are Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji, Hiranyagarbha is the Samashti Sukshma Sharira or Samashti Buddhi, we say. And in Vyashti, in individual, Samashti means in totality, correct? And in individual, the same Prajapati is manifest as your own intellect, your own Buddhi. So you do Upasana on your Buddhi itself as the Prajapati or Brahmaji. So Yad Hridayam. And Hridayam means not physical Hridayam. So Bhashyakara says Hridayam iti Hridayastha Buddhihi Uchyate. Whatever is the Buddhi which is there in the Hridaya is mentioned here, not the physical Hridaya. And Yasmin Shakalya Brahmanante Nama Rupa Karmanam Upasamharaha Uktaha Dik Vibhagadvarena Tadetat Sarvabhuta Pratishtam Sarvabhuta Atma Bhutam Hridayam Prajapatihi Prajanam Srashta Etat Brahma Brihatvat Sarvatmatvat Cha Brahma. Okay. See, whoever was taught in the third chapter, okay, Sakalya Brahmana is the ninth Brahmana in the third chapter. So there Yajnavalkya is talking to Shakalya, and Shakalya is questioning about the Prajapati Upasana only. Prajapati Upasana only in two types it is talked about there. In 8 forms, 8 different forms, you do Upasana of Prajapati, and again in 5 different quarters or the directions. Okay, 4 directions, and then up and down is 1 direction. Like this, in 5 directions also, wherever you see everything, there are different devatas, and they are there in the form of certain qualities in you, which again is only in your hridaya. Like that, everything goes to the hridaya. That's what is the thing there. Already the hridaya upasana was taught there. So Bhashyakara is saying, so Dig Vibhaga Dvarena Uktaha. It was already taught in the form of this in five directions also. This Hridaya only, everything comes to as the resting place, correct? So that you can go and refer. I think it is there around 19 or 23, 9, 19 onwards or something. It is there. This Upasana. So there all Nama, Rupa, Karmana, Upasamharaha, Uktaha. So everything comes, it resolves only into the Hridaya, correct? And that only is now talked about in a more specific manner. Okay, the Hridaya Upasana. Tadetat Sarva Bhuta Pratishtham. So the where everything is established, correct? All the bhutas and Sarva Bhuta Atma Bhutam also. Now, one who is in the form of the self of all, one in whom all the beings are established, and that is nothing but Hridayam, who is Prajapati, because Prajapati is the Samashti. Okay, he is the totality of everything. So in him only all beings are there. He is the self of all beings, and he is the Prajanam Srashta. He is the creator of everything. And that Prajapati, Etad Brahma, is also Brahman. Why? Brihatvat, because Prajapati is Samashti, total, everything. Sarvatmatvatcha Brahma, being the self of all also, he is Brahman. And he is all, Etad Sarvam. And Uktam Panchamadhyaye Hridayasya Sarvatvam. And in the Panchamadhyaya means this Panchamadhyaya is with reference to the Shatapatha Brahmana. In the Shatapatha Brahmana last portion, the 5th chapter is the 3rd chapter of the Upanishad. But okay, so whenever Bhashyakara says Panchamadhyaya, it refers to actually the 3rd chapter in the Upanishad. So in the 3rd chapter, the Hridayasa Sarvatam, in the same Shakalya Brahmana only it was talked about. Hridaya, because everything comes to the Hridaya only. Therefore, Hridaya itself is everything. And therefore, it is everything what? Tat sarvam yasmat tasmad upasyam hridayam brahma. Because it is everything, you can now do upasana, or it is to be done. The upasana has to be done on this Hridaya itself as Brahma, as big, okay, as the self of all. Tatra Hridaya Nama Akshara Vishayameva Tavat Upasanam Uchyate. Okay, here or there, what they are saying, this Hridaya, like that, there is a word, correct? Hridaya Nama is there, the name, and in that the three aksharas are there, and based on that only the upasana is now being talked about. Okay, Hridaya Nama Akshara Vishayameva Tavat Upasanam Uchyate. Tad etat Hridayamiti Namatrayaksharam. So this Tad etat Hridayam, that is the name, and it has three aksharas. Trayaksharam, Trini aksharani asya iti Trayaksharam. So the one which has three aksharas is called Trayaksharam. Okay, it's a Bahurihi. Kani punastani Trini aksharani uchyante. And what are these three aksharas? That is said now. What is that? Hri iti ekam aksharam. Hri is one akshara, and abhiharanti kritehe ahriti karmanaha hri ityetad rupamiti yo veda. Okay. So this hri is coming in the meaning of abhiharanti. Upanishad itself says abhiharanti means what? Ahriti karmanaha hri. So hritehe ahriti karmana means what? This dhatu hri comes in the meaning of bringing, carrying and bringing something to you. In that meaning it comes. So, and one who knows in this manner, then what? And how does he know? Because yasmat hridayaya brahmane swascha indriyani anye cha vishayaha shabdadaya swam swam karyam abhiharanti. So the indriyas and the vishayas like shabda etc., they all bring their karya to the hridaya, correct? Who is the Brahman here, correct? Hridayaya Brahmane means is not Param Brahma. The Hridayam only we are looking upon as Brahman, who is Prajapati. To that Prajapati, all the Indriyas are bringing, and also their. So Swascha means here Indriyani themselves, then Anya means all the Vishayas. Also, they are all Shabdadaya also. They are bringing their own Karyas, their effects, and therefore. And then what? Hridayam cha bhoktarartam abhiharati. Then Hridaya brings it to the bhokta, who is the Jivatma. So it takes from all the Indriyas and the Arthas, and then it gives it to the bhokta. Therefore, what? Ataha Hridayan namnaha Hri ityetad aksharamiti yo veda. So in this manner, therefore, if you know that Hridaya means that Hri in that Hridaya means this only, this Akshara has this meaning, like this you contemplate and do Upasana. And for that person, what? Asmai Vidushe, for that Upasaka, Abhiharanti, the Phala is said here. So everybody brings. What? Who brings? In fact, first, lot of people bring. Who are they? Swascha Nyatayaha. Nyati means again relatives are called Nyati in Sanskritam. So Swascha Nyatayaha Anyecha Asambadhaha means your relatives and those who are not related to you also. Asambadhaha, and they bring. What do they bring means Bhashyakara completes it. Bali miti vakya sheshaha. They bring you bali. Bali means offerings. Okay, gifts, etc. They bring you offerings. So that will be the phala for doing this upasana on the hri akshara. Then da akshara is there, correct? And again he says vijnanu rupyena etat phalam. Okay, normally the upasana phala is in keeping with the upasana itself, correct? Yad bhavam tad bhavati, like that we say. Whatever you do, the bhavana, the visualization, the upasana, the phala also is in keeping with that. So here also it is like that, because you are doing upasana, that all the indriyas and the arthas are bringing everything to the hridaya, which is Brahman, and which further then gives it to the bhokta, who is Jivatma. And therefore, you will also, a lot of people will bring and give it to you, whether they are your relatives or others. Then further what? The Tatha the ityetadapi ekamaksharam. Da also is another akshara in Hridaya. Etadapi danarthasya dadatehe da. So it comes in the meaning of dana, to give. Okay, dadatehe da. The da actually here means dadati. Dadatehe. Dadati is the meaning for that. Like even the previously meant danam also was there, even there. And it takes this form. And further what? Hridaya nama aksharatvena nibaddham. So it is inserted, the da is there, is joined in the Hridaya only to indicate that giving. And what is given also we have to understand. Atrapi Hridayaya Brahmane swascha karanani anye cha vishayaha swam viryam dadati. So Bhashyakara says the karanas and the vishayas, they give their own virya or power to the Hridaya, and then Hridayam gives it to the Bhokta again. Hridayam Bhoktre Dadati Swam Viryam. Ataha Dakara Ityevam Yo Veda. So the one who knows Dakara in this manner, therefore what? Asmai Dadati Swascha Anyecha. To that person, relatives and others also will give their power and their nourishment and all that. Okay. Or they will work for him, basically. That is the idea, correct? You are giving your power to somebody means what? Your whatever you are doing, your work is for them. So they will work for you. They will give you a lot. Further, yam is there. Tatha yam ityetad api ekamaksharam inaha gatyarthasya. So here yam comes from in dhatu in the meaning of gati. Gati means to go, move. And here what? Yam ityetad rupam. The rupa yam asmin namni. In this nama, in the hridaya, it comes as ya, correct? Nibaddham, it is inserted or it is joined in the hridaya word. Yam is there. And like this, you know, you do upasana, yo veda, sa swargam lokam eti, he goes to the swarga loka. So here you enjoy, lot of things are brought to you, bali offerings. Similarly, they also work for you, they give you their own power, virya, and then after enjoying all that, you go to swarga. Evam nama aksharaadapi idrisham vishishtam phalam prapnoti kimu vaktavyam Hridaya Swarupa Upasana Idi Hridaya Stuteye Nama Akshara Upanyasaha. Okay, with the Nama Akshara, the syllables in the name itself, if you do Upasana, it is giving such special results to you. Then what to say if you do the Upasana on the Hridaya Swarupa? Bhashyakara says, the Hridaya Swarupa is nothing but Brahman only, correct? That is Ishvara, or even Nirgunam Brahma, we can say. So what to say about that? Means it is even greater. So like this, the Hridaya is done stuti here, he is saying. Hridaya stutaye nama akshara upanyasaha. So the whatever aksharas, the syllables in the name, they were taken separately and they were described, correct? And how to do upasana. That is all for the sake of praising this Hridaya. So iti panchamadhyasya tritiyam brahmanam, third brahmana also is over. I think this is called Satya Brahmana. The fourth one is called Satya Brahmana, and this is called Hridaya Brahmana because it is about the Hridaya. Now, fourth one is what? Tadvai tadetadeva tadasa satyameva sayo hayetam mahadhyaksham prathamajam veda satyam brahmeti jayati iman lokan jita innu asau asat evam Yetan Mahatyaksham Prathamajam Veda Satyam Brahmeti Satyam Hyeva Brahma. Okay, here this Hridaya itself is further, you are supposed to do Upasana of it as Satyam Brahma. And Sat also you have to take it as Satantyat. See, already Hridaya was said as everything, correct? Now, how is it everything, if you ask? Okay. That's why it is now the Upasana is about Hridayam as Satyam. And Satyam itself means Sat and Tyat. Sat means that which is tangible or with form. Tyat means that which is intangible or formless, like that. So the Hridaya is there as everything, whether it is form, with form or without form. Okay, or tangible or intangible. So that's what is said here. This Hridayam Brahma is Satyam Brahma, and it is Mahat, it is very big. Yaksha, it is Pujarha. Yaksha means your Pujarha, one who is worshipful of, one who is worthy of worship. And Prathamajam is the one who is born first. The Prajapati or Brahman, here the Brahmaji is called Prajapati, correct? The Brahma here is really, when we say Satyam Brahma, it is actually we are referring to the Prajapati here. That Prajapati is Pratamaja, he is the one who is born first. From the Avyakta, the Prajapati comes first. He is the first born. That is also something which we have to appreciate. It is for praising the Prajapati. And you know this Prajapati as Satyam Brahma. Veda Satyam Brahmeti means you do Upasana as Satyam Brahma. Then what is the phala? Jayati iman lokan jita innu asau asat. So you win this entire world. Okay, iman lokan jayati, and having won all the enemies also. In fact, innu asau asat means asau here means the enemies. They will become asat. They will become non-existent for him. There won't be any enemies. He will win everybody. Having won everybody, there are no enemies for him. They have all become asat. And evam etan mahad yaksham. Okay, who gets this pala means again it is repeating the same thing. The Upanishad is repeating this in this manner. The one who does upasana of this hridayam as mahad yaksham and pratamaja, that person in fact gets this Satyam Brahma, is Satyam Brahma himself. Okay, you become like that. So here, one interesting thing is there are three tats are there in the beginning. In fact, Bhashyakara gives some meaning for all three. See, tadvai, tadetad, eva, tadasa. Correct? So three tats are there, one etat is there. Four pronouns are sitting there. So Bhashyakara will give interesting meaning. Let us see. Tasya eva hridayakyasya prabhanaha satyam iti upasanam viditsan aha. So the hridayakyasya brahmana, the Brahman which is known as hridaya, or the Brahman which is there in the hridaya, and you have to do upasana of it as satyam. Satyam iti upasanam viditsan aha, having mandating that or giving it as a vidhi. The Upanishad now says what? Tat, first there is a tat here. First tat, correct? This is the first tat. So he is saying taditi hridayam brahma paramrishtam. So the hridayam brahma which was talked in the previous uh, brahmana is now referred to here. So to refer to that, the tat is used. That. Okay. Why? Why means what again? Why it is maranartham means it is to remind you or to point out that same thing. That indeed means whatever we were just discussing in the previous brahmana, that indeed alone is now again going to be discussed. What is that? Tad etadeva tadasa satyameva. So the second tat now is there. Tat yat hridayam brahma स्मर्यते इत्येकः तच्छब्दः तदेतद् उच्यते प्रकारान्तरेण इति द्वितीयः तच्छब्दः. See, the first tat was to point to the hridayam brahma which was talked before. Why also is pointing to that smaranam only. And the next tat, that same one is now going to be talked about differently, it seems. That way again tat is repeated. That indeed, that, this is that, like that it is saying. Okay, three times that is coming. So Bhashyakara has to give some meaning. So he is saying the second tat refers to the fact that it is going to be talked about differently now. Okay, prakarantarena uchyate iti dvitiyaha tat shabdaha. And what is that prakarantara? How differently it is going to be talked about means yeta deva taditi. This alone is that. Etat shabdena sambadhyate tritiyastat shabdaha and etaditi vakshamanam buddhau sannidhi krityaha. So whenever we say this, means whatever we are going to say, we bring it in our mind, it seems. Then it becomes this. Whatever was that now becomes this, means you have brought it in your mind. You are going to talk about it. Okay. So etad, making it as etad, that etad only is again referred to as tat now. Okay. And what is that asa? Babhuva, it was. What was? Kim punaha etadeva asa. Okay. This was that, let us say. Now what is that? This and that. It's yaduktam hridayam brahma iti taditi. So whatever was said as hridayam brahma in the third brahmana, that alone is again referred to here as tat, the third tat. So etat tat, when it is said that etat means you are now going to talk about it, and that is nothing but the hridayam brahma alone. Again, like this, three tat shabdas are there, and that hridayam brahma is now specially talked about. Okay, kim taditi visheshataha nirjishati. It is pointing it out specifically. What is that? Satyam eva. It is satyam. And satyam means you should not take it as satyam in normal meaning. We have to take it as sat and tyat. Okay. Satyasya satyam, like that it was talked about. I don't know whether you remember. Long back we saw all that. Okay. So sat and tyat. And Brahman itself has given a name of Satyasya Satyam. So that Sat. So Bhashyakar also says that Sat Chat Tyatcha. Even in Taittiriya Upanishad it comes. Sat Chat Tyatcha Bhavate Niruktancha Niruktancha Nilayanancha Nilayanancha Vijnanancha Vijnanancha Satyancha Nritancha Satyam Abhavate. Like that. This Sat Chat Tyatcha. Sat and Tyat are talked about in different Upanishads. Means it means Murtam cha, Amurtam cha, that which is form, having form or that which is tangible is called Murta, that which is intangible and formless is called Amurta. So this is both. Together, put together, it becomes Satyam. That is Brahma here. Again, Brahma here points to the Hridaya only because Panchabhutatmakam ityetat. So all the Panchabhutas only make up your Hridaya also. And also this is the Atma of all the Panchabhutas. That way also we can take. And further what? Sayaha kaschit satyatmanam etam mahat mahatvat yaksham pudyam pratamajam pratamajatam sarvasmat samsarinaha etadeva agre jataha brahmataha pratamajam veda vijanati satyam brahmeti tasya idam phalam uchyate. Okay. So this or that Brahman, which is Hridaya, and Kaschit Satyam Atmanam Etam, and which is Satyam. Okay, and that is what, that is also what? Mahat, Mahatvat, because it is very big, and it is Yaksha, means it is Pujyam. Pujyam means it is worthy of worship, and it is Pratamajam, Pratamajatam, it is the one born in the beginning. The Prajapati, Brahmaji is the one who is born first. In fact, he is the first amongst all samsaris. In fact, he himself experienced little samsara, correct? That came again in the first chapter, fourth Brahmana and all. Initially, Brahmaji alone is there, Prajapati, then he feels alone. He, in fact, feels afraid. Then he gets this Atma Jnanam. There is nobody other than me. Therefore, Dvitiyadvai Bhayam Bhavati. There is no second thing, so I need not be afraid. Like that, he gets the Jnanam. Once he becomes a Jnani, then there is no Bhaya. Okay. That Prajapati, he is Pujya and he is the first born because only then he then creates, correct? That Shatarupa and all that. You can go and refer to that in the fourth Brahmana of the first chapter. The creation and all is talked about, but he is the one who is first born. Everybody else, the Devas, the Manushas, Asuras, everybody is then born from this Prajapati only. and even the animals and all that. So etadeva agre jatam Brahma. So this Brahmaji was the one who was born in the beginning, in the first. Therefore, he is called Prathamajam. Ataha Prathamajam. And that Brahmaji Veda Vijanati. So you know this Brahmaji as what? Satyam Brahma iti, as Satyam Brahma. Tasya idam phalam, which is say, once you do upasana of this Brahmaji as Satyam Brahma, what is the phala, the result for that? That is said here. Yatha Satyena Brahmana ime lokaha atma satkrita jita. So this Satyam Brahma is everything that is there here, correct? Everything is a part of this Satyam Brahma only. Ime lokaha atma satkrita means what? They all become part of this Brahmaji, and in that manner he is one over everything, it seems, because everything is his part. Similarly, what evam Satyam Atmanam Brahma Mahad Yaksham Pratamajam Veda Sajayati Iman Lokan. So in this manner, one who does upasana of one's own Hridaya as Satyam Brahma, okay, Satyam Atmanam Brahma. Then what? And also as Mahat Yaksham and Pratamaja. Your own Hridaya, you do upasana with all these words, the meaning of all these words, Mahat Yaksham Pratamaja. Then what? Then you win everybody. Sajayati Iman Lokan. So all the people here, everybody, you gain victory over them. And kincha, further what? Jitaha, Vashikritaha, having brought everybody under your spell or your vasha, your mastery, your control. Innu, itham, and in this manner what? Yatha brahmanaha, so shatruhu iti vakyasheshaha. And also what? Also he wins over all his shatrus. Okay. Brahmanaha asau Shatruhu iti Vakyasheshaha. The Shatru you have to say. Jitaha means he wins over whom means his Shatrus. That is, you have to add that. And all his Shatrus become Asat. That also is there, correct? Because Innu Asau is there here. Innu Asau Asat Cha Asat only. Then Yayevam Veda. Yayevam Yetan Mahadyaksham Pratamajam Veda. Like that it will go. So this Asat also, Bhashyakara says that all this, his enemies will become non-existent. Okay. So Asatcha, Asat Bhavet, Asau Shatruhu, Jitaha Bhavet means they will all be won over and they will be there won't be enemies for him, any enemies. They are all non-existent. And further what? Again the Upanishad is repeating. So he is asking, Kasya etat phalam, this phala is for whom? Punar Nigamayati means it is again saying that whatever was said initially proclaimed, the same thing is said to make sure that the one who does this upasana, he will get this pala. So what is it? It is repeating, ye evam yetad mahat yaksham pratamajam veda satyam brahmeti. So this is a repetition here. Whatever was said before only, okay, which is there here. Yoha yetam mahat yaksham pratamajam veda, same thing. Here also, ya evam etan mahat yaksham pratamajam veda satyam brahmeti. So the one who knows like this, then what? He is Brahman. He is in reality Brahman only. Satyam he eva Brahma. Because the Vidyanurupa phalam. Correct? So if you do upasana like that, then like even for the Hiranyagarbha Brahmaji, everybody becomes his part and he has won over everyone like that. For you also, there won't be any enemies and you will win over everybody. That is the meaning. So, Atha Vidyanurupam Phalam Yuktam. So, you become the Satyam Brahma alone as Upasana Phalam also. Because you are Brahma, who is whatever, who is Yaksham, Mahat and all that. So, with this Satya Brahmana also is over. Iti Panchamadhyayasya Chaturtham Brahmanam. Okay, the next Brahmanam we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om
धन्यवाद गुरुजी।